What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Run Pure Sports NBA Hardwood show. I'm your host, Mangone. I'm here with Titletown. We got 4 NBA games, and there's some pretty good ones. I mean, we have some bad 4-game slates sometimes, but hey, this is not a bad one. We have a lot of value that you wouldn't expect, and that's because it's like April, May DFS, right? This is the time of year where DFS gets pretty crazy. Title, what do you think of this NBA slate? It sucks to have 4 games only, but it doesn't feel like a 4-gamer. It kind of feels like it's maybe 6 games or 7 with all the value that we might be having here.
Yeah, this is a really interesting 4-game slate, and I like it. We have 4 games that have a total above 225, which is pretty rare. I mean, we see a lot of 205s, 207s nowadays when the Cavs are on the slate usually, but Cavs get a pace-up spot against Washington. So 4 games with good totals should be a good pace. We don't have too much injury news, but we have some injury news that's worth monitoring. We got Terrence Ross and James Ennis out before the show, so that's pretty big for the Magic side. Wendell Carter will play, so him and Bamba will be splitting center minutes more. But we're still waiting for Clint Capella's questionable. Rashawn Holmes is questionable. Goga's questionable. Doug McDermott's questionable. And if you look at the times each game's lock, we have 4 different games that lock at 4 different times, with the Cavs and Wizards locking at 7 Eastern, Bucks Hawks 7:30 Eastern, Pacers Magic 8 Eastern, and then you get the night game 2 hours later at 10 Eastern. So it's going to be very interesting game theory wise. If we don't get the news right away at the first game, what do you do with that? Do you wait for some of the Capella news and stuff like that? So it's a fun slate, good games. I'm excited to dive into it.
Yeah, I'm excited too. We also have Wendell Carter. He got ruled available, and I'm looking.
You weren't listening, were you?
No, but the thing that's key with him is I think that him and Bamba, right? That's going to be super, super important here. Because I think center is gross today, right? And that's something that we'll talk about here. But the thing I was just looking up now is this is a back-to-back coming up, right? So what's that going to do for Bamba's minutes, and what's going to be Wendell Carter's minutes? And the reason why I wanted to mention him specifically is because this slate, it's going to get really interesting where things go. Because if Goga's ruled in, I think Goga's going to be a guy that a lot of people go to. I'm assuming he's not going to play. I put him on the cash chart just because I do think he's a great value. But I am worried he's not going to play. What do you think of that news as that's coming in here shortly, Title? Do you think Goga plays or he doesn't play?
Yeah, I'm not exact. I don't have a lean like you do. I just saw the Wizards announce their starting lineup. Anthony Gill's starting for Rui. I didn't expect that. I don't know if that was expected, but we'll get to that. But yeah, I don't have a lean on Goga really. I'm not going to load up on the first game. I'm going to hope that we get the news, wait for it a little longer. They play at 8 Eastern. Usually lineups come out, inactives come out about 30 minutes before, hoping they come out before the Bucks Hawks game that way. I'll get some pieces the first game probably, but I don't have a lean. I'm not going to lock a center in the first game. So the position's going to be open for me. If he plays, I like him.
Yeah, it's worth mentioning too. So you talked about it, the way the games are going to go, right? Tonight, that's going to matter a little bit. Cleveland, Washington, first game at 7. Then we got to wait 30 minutes for that Milwaukee, Atlanta game where another center, because we were talking about it a little before, so that's why center's on my mind a bit. Clint Capella, right? We got to get the news on that. That's going to be something that has some value. And that's at 7:30. Then 8 o'clock about Indiana and Orlando. And then another center, we don't know what's going to happen with Rashawn Holmes, right? Does he have a minutes limit? Does he not? He's likely to return. Sacramento Golden State, that's a 10 o'clock game. And Sacramento Golden State has a lot to like in that game. Definitely one I'm going to make sure to get some exposure to. So it's going to be interesting to see how the slate all shakes out. I do think you're right, though. The first game, there are some pieces to get a piece of, but I don't know how much we want to. We'll talk about it, and we'll dive right in now and discuss first game up. And there's not too many totals that stick out on this slate. Pulling it up now because I don't have the right tab up, but we got the Wizards and the Cavs, and it's a 227 total here. A lot of those totals floating around in that 225 to 232 range. And we got the Wizards at a 7.5-point favorites here. Title, talk to me. We got the Cleveland Cavaliers. We got your boy Isaac Okoro, right? He loves to do nothing. He is popping a little bit today, which I understand. Yeah, Kevin Love. I mean, it's certainly not a bad spot for Kevin Love. I don't think you need to go there. And we just got the news that Anthony Gill is going to be starting, and the Wizards still have that nice 3-guard rotation. So there are guys you can mix and match throughout your lineups. Are you mixing and matching these guys?
Yeah, so I don't think I'm going to do Isaac Okoro today. I mean, I know, like you said, he is popping a little bit. He's 3.6. He's getting the minutes, but then you're locking yourself into a value right away that I don't feel good about. I mean, his floor is very low still. And we could get a lot more value if the injuries go another way. So not a day if I'm going to go to Okoro. That's always a better day for me. I feel better. And this game, I mean, the guy that stands out most, obviously, is Russell Westbrook up top, 11K. If this game stays close, there's nobody that's going to stop Russell Westbrook. If this game doesn't stay close, Russell Westbrook's going to be the one that's going to dominate. Safest play on the slate. He's my favorite spend up. There's just no other words really to describe what Russell Westbrook's doing right now. You feel so safe plugging him in your lineup. I love doing it. I like it more on DraftKings where he's 11K and you can roster a lot more guards. FanDuel, I mean, there's a lot of point guards that we like today. So I like him at 11-1. He's definitely in play, but he's harder to fit over there than DraftKings. Outside of him, I don't have too much interest on this Washington side. You can do Bradley Beal on FanDuel at 9,200 where we have to play 2 shooting guards, but I don't mind that. I think that's definitely a route to go. Terrence Ross is ruled out, so the position did get worse. I'm not going to play him on DraftKings. I don't want to lock in 2 studs and don't have a lot of salary after. I'm just going to play Westbrook there. So on the Cavs side, Kevin Love's the only one I like, and I like him more on FanDuel, or he's 6,000. I'm not playing him on dual position eligibility on DraftKings. One other guy I want to mention, FanDuel, Jarrett Allen, 6,100 at center. We talked about how bad center is, 6,100. We saw Allen in the high 8Ks for a little bit earlier in the year. Very good stocks guy, so I always like him more on FanDuel. He's played 30 minutes almost every game recently, so I think that's a good price tag for him.
Yeah, so talk to me a little about Jarrett Allen, because I'm going back and forth. So here's his minutes, right? 30, 34, or 30, 34, 31, 27, 28, 33, right? Solid minutes, but Kevin Love has been back, and I do think Kevin Love has affected him a ton, and that's worth mentioning, and that's why the production hasn't been the 8K Jarrett Allen, right? He is getting a Wizards matchup where the Wizards always play a big, right? So you do feel confident that Jarrett Allen will probably get a lot of time on the floor. Now, do you think you could see more small ball lineups with Kevin Love at the center and that could cut into Allen? That's one thing I'm thinking about. I don't even think it's for sure going to happen, but I'm trying to think of the center position, and if he's going to be really chalky. If you're a tournament player, there's some merit to maybe get off, but you can also make the argument that Jarrett Allen in one quarter can have 20 fantasy points, and you wouldn't be shocked at all. I know the recent production hasn't shown that, but it wouldn't surprise me if Jarrett Allen did that title.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be massive chalk, to be honest. I don't think one center in particular on FanDuel is going to be, because there's options at every tier. And you're locking in the first game right away. So if Goga news breaks differently, or if he's in, or who knows what happens, but you're locking yourself into the only center, which I'm not sure everyone wants to do. As far as how many minutes I think he'll play, or if they'll go Love at the small ball 5, I mean, if you look at his minutes, like you said recently, 33 last game, the lowest he's had in the past like 8-9 games is 27. I feel good about those minutes. I know, yeah, his rebounding rate has come down from earlier in the year. When I say he's an 8K price tag, or when he was, completely different situation. I was just saying more so we know he has the upside when he gets the minutes. But I think 6,100 is a good price tag if you're going to give me about 30 minutes of Jarrett Allen. We love this matchup. We love this pace-up spot. It's a matchup he can do really well in with the stocks upside, I think. So I don't think he's going to be way overpopular. If you guys think he's going to be 55% or something in cash, I would fade in tournaments 100%. I mean, there's a lot of volatility on the slate for 4 games, but I do feel good with that price tag.
Yeah, I'm not sure where it's all going to go, but it's something I'm thinking about. That's all. It is worth mentioning, looking at like Allen's minutes. He played Charlotte 33 minutes. He played Golden State 34, and he played Charlotte 30 minutes, right? And those are games that like you would kind of expect maybe that like he could get ran off the court a little bit, or they could go with like a different approach where they do go with like a Kevin Love to 5. So Allen's might be more secure. Like I said, I think you're making good points on him. What do you think? You didn't talk about Neto too much, right? And Neto has a bit of a heftier price tag, right? So the problem is on FanDuel, he's 4-3, and you can make the argument there's opportunity cost at the position, right? Of course, if Neto goes for 45, you'd love to have him, but you can make an argument that he could go for even 30, and it's great, but Brogdon goes for 50, Curry goes for 60, Westbrook goes for 70, and like the opportunity cost is just too strong. And then on DK, he has a decent price tag as well. DraftKings, you're paying 4.8 for him. He is shooting guard eligible, which is valuable on this slate. So what are you kind of doing with Real Neto on this slate?
Yeah, that's a very good point you brought up. Before we got like this Magic news, I think that opens up some stuff. I got to look into Gil still. Obviously, stuff changed since we got on the show. On FanDuel, like you said, it comes down to the position. I mean, you're sacrificing one of Steph, Brogdon, Westbrook, Cole Anthony now becomes a very elite play. The point guard spot's loaded. If you want to go all the way down, he's definitely my favorite option in the lower tier, but I'm not sure. Even if he gets you 6x at that price tag, I don't know if 6x is what you need. You might need the 58 raw points, the 60 raw points, since that's how the slate just works with roster construction. On DK, I do like it a little bit, 4,800 dual position eligibility, but we have other spots on this slate that I think value is a little better. He's not a priority. If he fits my lineups, I'm fine, but I'm not plugging him in like we have been recently.
Yeah, guys, if you could please hit that like, hit that subscribe, helps us out a ton. Title, one question before we move on to the next game. No Nance Jr. talk. I don't think we need to play him today. What about you?
Yeah, I'm not. If we don't mention him, then we're probably not going to play him. I'm not looking at Nance today. I think Kevin Love and Jared Allen, that front court's, that's where the minutes are going now for the most part in the usage.
Yeah, the only other guy that you mentioned a little bit and I didn't is like Bradley Beal makes sense, but there's other guys I'd rather go to. I think there's better ways to spend your money on this slate. He has
FanDuel only.
What?
FanDuel only because of two shooting guards.
Yes, correct. FanDuel only for sure. What would you do, LeVert or Beal straight up? Like, well, not straight up. I guess like the salaries do matter a little bit, right? What's the difference between them again on there? It's Beal is 92 and LeVert is I think 8.4 or 8.3. What would you do between those 2 point per dollar?
I still think I like Bradley Beal. I feel really good about. I know it's a little more, but Brogdon has a big role in that offense. The Pacers just spread it around a little more. Beal and Westbrook are the only ones that have the ball in their hands, and they stagger the minutes pretty well. So I still think I'd prefer Beal.
Yeah, it was a little weird too. LeVert played 30 minutes last game, and his minutes were cut a little more than that OKC game where he played 40, and they can be more cautious with him. So, worth mentioning. I've been going back and forth on if I do spend because I was considering Terrence Ross for a little bit. Now I'm going to have to consider a spend up for my SG too. So LeVert and Beal will definitely be a discussion that people will be having. Let's move on. Let's go talk about the Bucks and the Hawks. And we are waiting for the Clint Capella news title. What do you want to do here with the Hawks and Bucks? 226.5 total. And this is your team. So break it down for me.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't have much interest in this game right now as it is. It's two of the healthier teams on this slate. As we go later, we have some news in the other games, and I'm going to want to wait for more. The one guy that I do have interest in is Giannis. I mean, a 10-7 on DraftKings, 10-9 on FanDuel. How I'm looking at it is he's actually a better play on FanDuel because of the power forward position that isn't very good. And you take your raw points out of position like that sometimes. We're on DraftKings, dual eligibility for the positions. I like Russell Westbrook more than Giannis straight up in a vacuum. So that's kind of how I'm approaching it. DraftKings, I doubt I have much interest in this game, or I doubt I have anyone in this game. Maybe one piece, Kevin Huerter or something, but I don't even like that I don't like 6.4 price tag. I'll probably be off this game on DraftKings unless if Clint Capella is out, then we can look at that Okonju guy. I don't know how to pronounce his name exactly. He's 3,800 now. He got the start last time when Capella was out, played 28 minutes. 28 minutes. I want to hear what your thoughts are in this spot today. I mean, center is bad, like we've talked about. If he gets a spot start, 28 minutes, they need his size against Brook Lopez. Maybe we can go there on DraftKings. Otherwise, it's pretty much Giannis and FanDuel only.
Yeah,
not only FanDuel only. I should clarify. You can on DraftKings, but I do like Westbrook over Giannis today.
Yeah, I kind of want to understand like what his minutes could be, right? Like that's the thing I'm going back and forth on. Like how many minutes will he actually play? What if the game blows out, right? Like he's first off the court more than likely. So I have some fear of how much do I want to spend my money on him? Like he's 9,500 is a decent price tag, and it locks yourself into some stuff too and boxes you out of some possibilities later on. So I'm not like jumping to play Clint Capella.
No, yeah, I meant if he was out.
Oh, if he's out. Okay, I thought you meant if he was in. Sorry.
No.
So if he's out, I mean, so we talked about paying up for a shooting guard like a Beal or LeVert. I mean, Kevin Huerter is 5.7 on a FanDuel, which I wouldn't hate going to. You can overspend on a Bogdanovic. Like, I don't hate the idea of like feeling like, hey, like Bogdanovic is a guy that he is the alpha right now, and he's been playing great. And like small forward hasn't been the best. And in tournaments, like I think a lot of people are not going to spend up for Bogdanovic. So in tournaments, Bogdanovic at 7.3 on FanDuel could make some sense. Now on DraftKings, you look at the Bogdanovic price tag, and again, it's an overspend, right? On slates that you have these guys that They feel like they cost a little. They feel like they cost a little too much, but you have all the value in the world, right? Sometimes you can make that overspend, and it's okay. And people are not comfortable doing that. So I wouldn't hate it if you just have extreme value everywhere and you feel comfortable. Like, for instance, these Pacers guys, right? If Goga ends up being rolled down, you think Jakar Sampson's like an absolute lock at a 3K. It makes it easier to make those decisions on spending those overspends on some guys. And the Bucks is a pretty good matchup to do it, right? They struggle against the three ball, a primary ball handler against them, and they pace up spot. It's a pretty good opportunity for him. So I have to see how it all goes. What would you do with Lou Williams? Because he's the guy that he's 4'6", right, on DK. You can make arguments for him being in a good spot. And the three ball, again, we talked about a little bit, and that's what Lou can thrive at a little bit. I know Kevin Huerter has been better, and it's like, do you pay 4.6 for a Lou Williams, or do you pay a 6.4 for a Kevin Huerter? That's something to look at. So that's kind of my full breakdown on it. What do you kind of think?
Well, yeah, I don't think I'd have any interest really in anybody except that Okonju guy. What do you think about him? Like you get the spot start. He saw 28 minutes last time out. We talked about center not being too good. It would just be DraftKings only. But what would you think of him?
So it depends.
He's 3,800.
He's 3.8, right? So it depends on like what happens with the Pacers guys, because those values could be better than an Okongwu, right? And then that's gonna be something that I look at. Knight hasn't really played, right? So I wouldn't look to him much. It really depends on the other values. Would he be a good value on the slate? Yes, but I would have to decide based on all the other value plays that I'm already looking at, right? That's kind of going to be what matters. And like Sacramento, right? They don't have Fox now. Like there's a lot of opportunity here for a guy like a Terrence Davis maybe later on that gets a spot start, right? At 3.3K that could come into the mix. There's some of these cheaper Golden State values that you've talked about. Now, doesn't a Okongwu have more upside than a Kevon Looney? Yes. And you could plug in maybe a Looney and then go to you obviously can't do an Okongwu now, but you can plug in a Looney and then go to other values later and gives you more flexibility. So it just depends if you want to lock yourself into that. I hate that I'm giving you more of like a wishy-washy answer, but it really depends on that Pacers value here, Title.
No, I get it 100%. I think people like when they listen to these shows, us talking more game theory, and I completely agree with you. It all depends on the Pacers news. And the good thing we have, too, is, like you said, in the later game, with no Fox, I mean, we have Halliburton's a great play. A lot of these Kings are good plays. And then Damian Lee's out. Bazemore's out. Pascal's out, I believe. There's value on the Warriors side, too, in a very good game environment that locks last on the slate. So I think we'll have roster construction, roster flexibility. I think Capella news only matters for Okonju, or however you pronounce his name. I'm probably butchering it. He's the only one that I think I would play maybe if Capella was out, but I think it's a pretty easy stay away game for the most part.
Yeah, I think it helps the guards a little more than you do. But here's another guy let's talk about, like John Collins. Someone in the chat was asking, obviously that can be a bump for him, right? But the problem is
7.4.
Yeah. Do I want to spend that tag, right? I don't think I want to spend that much on him. You can make an argument that there is a ceiling there, but my argument is I think there's way too many possibilities for it to fail, right? If the game blows out, he'll probably be off the court early. He can get in foul trouble against Giannis very easily. Just being inside and being in the paint and just kind of getting tied up on him. So don't love that possibility there. There's just a lot of things that can go wrong for him. What if he shoots poorly, right? I just want to stay away. I don't think John Collins is worth it for me. And then, I mean, could you make a case for a Gallinari? Again, a guy that he's an older vet, so maybe won't get the minutes for sure. But we talk about the three ball and something that could get hot. FanDuel, small forward, like I said, a lot of people are going to go to those Kings. Could it be an interesting tournament play to go to a Gallinari here?
I probably am not going to do it on today's slate. We have good spots in later games. So this is going to be a game. If we talk about trying to condense slates, you don't need to condense a full 4-game slate, but this is definitely the one I have the least amount of interest in, just because it's two fully healthy teams pretty much, which usually there's always teams with injuries this part of the year, and that's the ones I target mainly.
Yeah, and the point you brought up too, like by saying they're fully healthy, the Hawks won't be fully healthy, right? But I personally believe that some of these salaries are too high at this point, and they're priced that they are healthy, right? Like Bogdanovich, for instance. He is priced up to the role that he is in. So that is a concern there. But the Okongwu thing, yes, that makes sense. Just depends on some other values. Guys, if you could please hit that like, hit that subscribe on the video. Helps us out a ton. Also, I wanted to talk about our partners over at SuperDraft. Use the code RUNPURE. You get a $100 deposit bonus over there. We have core plays on our site for you guys. So check it out over at runpuresports.com. Also use the code HEATER25 to get 25% off your first payment. Definitely check it out. We have all the awesome content. We had the Titles MMA content yesterday. We have NASCAR content today, MLB, NBA. We got everything you need. A one-stop shop, $80 a month, $20 a week, and then get the 25% off using the code HEATER25. Check it all out. Title, were you going to say something there?
Well, yeah, I was just going to say, Gary asked in chat, he said, any promo this month? So it's HEATER25. You get 25% off your first month, right?
Yep.
Perfect.
HEATER25 is the current promo. Let's move on, though. Let's talk about the next game. And next game up, it's not the Warriors one. It is the Pacers Magic, which is, man, so we had some value that just kind of came through that you and I were not able to digest off air yet, right? So we have Cole Anthony, Gary Harris, I believe, Okeke, Carter Jr., and then who will be at the 3? I mean, would it be Dwayne Bacon, I assume? He's another guy that could be interesting that I don't know if his price has gone up too much yet. He's had his ups and downs throughout this little stretch here. But Magic are going to be a team to look at. And then we have, Brogdon and LeVert have been running the show with the Pacers. We need the Goga news. That's going to be super important. 8 o'clock game, I think you'll definitely get some kind of update by 6:30. By 7:30, you should get the starting lineup. But that obviously, if you don't get the news and you just get game time decision on Goga, that could be very, very concerning. So, Title, how are you approaching this and the news here with this game?
Yeah, well, we need to get news in this game for sure. It's hard to break down exactly. I mean, if Goga plays, I think he's a very good play. And I like him more on DraftKings if he does play because there is dual center, but he's 4,200 and the position is just very bad. There's a couple other centers that I like a little more on FanDuel, but he is in consideration. Jakar Sampson's only 3K. He's the best value on the slate right now. I know he only played 21 minutes. They got blown out. He didn't play well, but he's only 3K and he gets you guys like Russell Westbrook. There's already injuries on this Pacers team. The spot could only get better for him if Doug McDermott or Goga gets ruled out too. So I really like him as a punt. If Doug McDermott does play 3,900 on DraftKings, I like that price tag. He's just a good offensive player. We know he has upside for this price tag. Malcolm Brogdon on both sites, 8,700 on DraftKings, 8,200 on FanDuel. He's just playing a lot better basketball as of late with the injuries to Sabonis. I mean, he's been a very big part of this offense. Seems like he's taken the reins from LeVert a little bit. I like that price tag. He's shown upside. That's probably where I'm going to stay for the Indiana side of the ball, unless we do get more injuries. Like if Goga and Doug are out, Brissett, we saw him absolutely dominate last time in the spot start. He's 4,800. I don't care what his price tag is. If those two are out and he needs to play 40 minutes as the only big, I mean, he's very good as we saw. So he's injury dependent depending on what they do. Go to the Magic side. Cole Anthony, like you said, we haven't had time to digest it all. Right now, I think Cole Anthony gets the biggest boost. He's in the mid 6Ks on both sites, but he's just the primarily ball handler. He has it in his hands all the time. He gets a lot of assists. He even rebounds better for a guard too. So I like that price tag, but guard is loaded. You're going to have to make decisions at the position. So he's my favorite. I like Dwayne Bacon. I like Chuma Okeke. I'm going to have to break it down a little more. Like, I don't know if I want Gary Harris at 4,200. He definitely gets a boost, but it's not a slate. I don't think I'm just going to load up on all the Magic. I don't know. Like you said, this news came out right before we got on the show. I haven't had time to break it all down. I think I rank them Cole Anthony, Dwayne Bacon, Chuma Okeke, Gary Harris. I don't know. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I mean, the thing that I'm debating is like guard is really, really strong, right? So like, do I want to pay the 6.7K price tag on Cole Anthony? That's like the biggest thing I'm trying to decide now. And like, there's a lot of good guards to play, right? And it's like, I want to spend up. And if we have all this other value plays, like if we have a Jakar Sampson as a value, well, now I have money to spend on, right? So like, of course, I want to look at Steph Curry, Westbrook, Brogdon, LeVert, all these different guards. So it gets tougher to go with Cole Anthony. Do I think he has a really nice opportunity here? Yeah. He's someone I'm definitely going to look at and consider on this slate, but I'm not like slamming in my lineups like I think I would have on normal slates, right? It's because of the value that we might have at power forward. Now, if we don't have as much value at that power forward and center positions, now maybe I will go and look at a Cole Anthony instead of Brogdon, right? I do think Brogdon is probably better than him still in this role, but it's definitely something worth looking at on the slate. What about an RJ Hampton? Again, we talked about the opportunity cost. Could he be interesting? I don't want to go to like a Gary Harris. I think RJ Hampton is intriguing because last game he played like 26 or 27 minutes around that range. I think he's someone that if you're looking for guard values, I wouldn't hate going to as a play. And he gets that shooting guard eligibility as well, Title.
Yeah, no, I don't mind that. 27 minutes last game. Maybe I would rather him over Gary Harris. Like I said, we didn't have time to break it all down.
Yeah.
I think that's a sharp call if you want to double value. If you go him and Sampson, then you're able to get up to the Westbrooks and some more stuff. So yeah, he's cheap. He gets that dual eligibility, like you said, which is really important. 26 minutes, I'd be fine with that.
Yeah, that's the one guy I'm looking at there. I mean, on FanDuel, he's like Hampton is point guard eligible, right? And like I don't want to mess
Can't
with that.
do that.
Exactly. And then like Gary Harris is shooting guard there. So I get if you had that debate and wanted
I'd probably rather Dwayne Bacon at 3,900 on FanDuel shooting guard. I mean, I would rather him. He just has a higher usage rate. So I think Dwayne Bacon's definitely in play on FanDuel if you want to punch shooting guard, since Terrence Ross was going to be one of the best shooting guard plays if he did play at 4,400. So shooting guard isn't great on FanDuel.
Yeah, no, definitely makes sense there. So I heard you mention something earlier. You said if two guys were out, because Brissett's the big guy to talk about here, right?
Yeah.
So you look at last game, he's been crushing. And of course, the 32 for the price of 4,200 was solid, but the price is getting up, right? 4,800. And I'm not expecting 32 again. I think it could happen. And Jakar Sampson, a couple games before, he was like projected to play like 40 minutes, the coach said. He basically said like 2 games ago, he was going to play 40 minutes. And then what happened was he got suspended. So then he wasn't able to play that game. And the next game, he started and got a ton of fouls, right? And even though he got a ton of fouls early on, he still ended with a solid amount of minutes, right? I mean, he played how many minutes did he play in that game? 22 minutes. And like he had some early foul problems where he did not play a lot in the first half. I don't have the exact number in front of me, but it was a low number.
He played 21 minutes. Yeah, he fouled out.
Yeah, and I really think that Jakar is the guy I'd rather go to over Brissett right now. But like, could you see yourself playing both of them together on this slate, Title?
Well, if Goga and Doug are out, I definitely could play both of them together. If both of them are in, I mean, Samson's definitely going to be way more chalky. He's $1,800 cheaper. He's a stone minimum, so he gets you a lot. I think Brissett's interesting in tournaments. Even if only one of Doug or Goga are out. I mean, we've just seen he's a very good point per minute producer. I think that would keep his ownership really low. So if one of the two are out, I still think you can play him. If both of them are in, I probably wouldn't go there today. I mean, yeah, I doubt I go there, but I like him as a player. He has upside if he gets the minutes. Samson's definitely the better play, though, with the $1,800 savings, though, if you're talking point per dollar.
Yeah, definitely something like that. I also think Doug McDermott's probably going to play since he played yesterday. It seems like he's fine, but you never know. Obviously, it's the NBA. Anyone can sit. So that Pacers news is really big. Stuff that I'm definitely waiting on here. You want some Justin Holiday? Is he going to be exercising up and down the court? I mean, there are guys off the court, and he still has not been the greatest. So what do you do with Justin Holiday here? Because I feel like I've debated in the idea of playing him during this stretch where guys are out, but I still haven't pulled the trigger, and it's still been okay to me.
FanDuel only, just because we talk about small forward sometimes if you need to punt it all. I rarely get to him on DraftKings with so many other dual positions. Yeah, I mean, he's first team all exercise kind of guy. Once in a while, he gets you the 5 stocks you need, or he hits 5 threes. Other than that, usually he's playing 30-something minutes and getting you 8 or something. So the last piece is a punt if it gets you something on FanDuel. Otherwise, I'm not going to do it on DraftKings for sure.
Yeah, I think the only reason I wouldn't play him, I don't think, is because I think I'd rather play Mo Harkless instead.
Definitely would.
Kind of a 1v1 you might have a little debate on FanDuel, but I would lean Mo Harkless there. Let's move on, and we get a 2-hour gap. We get the Sacramento Golden State game, which we'll have our Showdown content for. So Sacramento Golden State is the game of the night for that. So if you're looking for Showdown, head on over and check that out over at Run Pure Sports. Title, talk to me about this game. There's reasons to backload for it a little bit, in my opinion. Because, hey, like, let's say you're down or behind, right? You can make some changes because you'll know some results on some games. Let's say you faded a Westbrook that was 60% owned and went absolutely nuts, and now you're in trouble. Well, you can make some pivots off some chalkier players. But there's also news that could come with this game. We don't know what's going to happen with Rashawn Holmes minutes. Also, it's Luke Walton. You might get some random surprise starter out of nowhere. Like, Title, if it was 950 and randomly Kyle Guy got rolled as starter, like, how shocked would you be? I mean, it's Luke Walton, right? We'd be scrambling and going nuts, but I would not be surprised that Luke Walton just broke the slate and did something stupid like that.
Yeah, you remember I thought it was your tweet that I saw right off an All-Star break. He had his lineup out like a day before the games even played an All-Star break. And the only guy that he waits forever. He does all this late swat. Yeah. You never know with Luke Walton. And it's a good point you say. I mean, I try and harp on it a lot on these NBA shows. As the season goes on, the later it gets, with teams not playing for stuff or wanting to play seeding games, they rule guys out for no reason late and like after lock that you have to be ready for. So we've seen it already recently. I mean, we're going to see more of it. So that's always a merit to either backloading a little more with a lot of options, or like Big T sometimes does. So he just avoids all that news. Big T 777. It's not a slate today to do it, but lock in all the news that you know that you're going to get, and then you don't have to worry about it that way. So game theory, roster construction, all that stuff means a lot as the season goes on. But I mean, yeah, this is the best game for sure. I wouldn't be surprised if Luke Walton did that.
Yeah, and another thing, so I'm going to look ahead. I like doing this sometimes, especially again this time of year, trying to figure everything out. So guys that are on the front end of the back-to-backs, right? Like that's worth looking at here. We got, let's see, Sacramento, right? They play tomorrow against Dallas. So again, you could see some weird stuff happen there. And then you have Orlando. They play tomorrow. They play the Lakers, which is why maybe those guys are sitting. You never know. And then Atlanta, they play Detroit tomorrow. So again, another reason why, like, Clint Capella could not sit. We just got these a game time decision. He's currently warming up. So, and it's going to be really big news. Waiting on that. Be sure to get in the Run Pure Sports Discord chat. We'll be breaking that all down. We'll be updating everything leading up to lock. So be sure to check all of that out. Any more? Let me see. Indiana. No, Indiana's not on there. Milwaukee, they're not playing tomorrow. So that's mainly the stuff that we got from tomorrow. Oh, yeah, Cleveland action. Cleveland is at Toronto tomorrow. So there you go. But we don't really worry about Cleveland too much on this slate. But yeah, I guess let's talk about Curry. I think one thing to talk about with Steph Curry, even Draymond Green, Title. Do you worry that if this game gets really out of hand, those guys just kind of get to the bench a lot sooner than some of these other players? And if you're building your team out, and of course in cash games, you're not worrying about that as much, because if for some reason it's a blowout, it's probably because Curry went off. But in tournaments, do you have a fear of playing some of these guys because maybe their ceilings could be hurt here?
Yeah, the thing is, if you look at, I mean, it's only a 4-game slate we get to choose from. There is the most injuries in this game. We know we don't want to play too much of the first game with the other injury news. It's just not a spot and not a slate that I think I can be too picky and try and predict blowout proof. If you're a tournament player, though, absolutely. If you think this game blows out, I mean, we know Steph's rotation. He plays the whole first. He plays the whole third. He doesn't always come back in and blow out games, whether they're up a bunch or down a bunch in the fourth quarter. So, I mean, if he doesn't get that fourth quarter run, he doesn't usually get there. Obviously, if he does Steph things, it's 11 threes in 3 quarters, he's going to get there. But that's a very good point if you want to do that for tournaments. He's always the most blowout risk, I think, just because of his rotations for sure, too. And, yeah, why would they play him if they're up 20 or down 30 or something like that? It doesn't make sense. They're still trying to win.
Yeah, some cheaper guys to maybe talk about here, Title. So Jordan Poole's obviously been getting some more run in a 4.7K if you're a tournament person and you are playing the blowout angle, right? Jordan Poole could crush, right? Also, Juan Toscano Anderson, right? At 4K, I think he's a really interesting tournament option. Obviously, it depends, right? Like, if we get the Jakar Sampson of the world, play them, right? But you can make an argument for him being a really interesting value play to even pair with the Jakar, right? And just like be able to spend up for all the guards in the world. So what do you think of some of those extra pieces there on the Warriors?
Yeah, so the whole Warriors side. I think the best value is Looney, 3,700 on DraftKings. He's 3,900 on FanDuel. He's just a very good rebounder, passes the ball well. His minutes are very stable, around 27 minutes. He's not like the best tournament play. I mean, he doesn't have that 40-point upside you want, but I think he's a very solid cash game player. He's if you want value, if you want to go up to the Westbrooks, if you want to try and get Giannis and Westbrook, you're going to need the Looneys, the Sampsons of the world. So I like his value on both sides and what he gets you. We already talked about Steph. I like him on both sides. This Sacramento team doesn't play any defense. He should have his way. I really like that Jordan Poole call. I think he's going to go low owned. He has dual position eligibility on DraftKings. Can play him at the shooting guard position. The guard position just so loaded. I think he goes overlooked. He comes off the bench. I mean, Jordan Poole, when he gets in the game, he chucks it. If he gets hot, he keeps shooting the ball. He's a good young player. So I like him in tournaments for sure at 4,700. I like Oubre. I like Wiggins. Could definitely play both of them. I don't love Draymond as much. If anything, it's a FanDuel play for me, 7,200. We talk about power forward not being the best. I'd rather play him there where you have to play two of them. Not going to touch that on DraftKings. This Warriors team, it's a very good spot for them. I'd rank them Looney for the value, Steph, and then Jordan Poole's my favorite in tournaments. I like Oubre more than Wiggins, but I think they're all in play. It's a very good slate for the Warriors with the Bazemore injury, Damian Lee. The minutes are condensed.
So I thought about Poole like you did, and I was like, guard is just too deep. And like another thing is I thought about Hampton earlier, and I was like, I just think guard is too deep. And the reason I've considered Toscano Anderson is I wouldn't be shocked if like Draymond Green, right, sits like later in the game, and just Toscano Anderson absolutely crushes. And he's also center eligible, which kind of like isn't bad to be able to have that flexibility there. So I think Juan is a really, really interesting deep dark guy. Like he's not going to pop in the optimizers. It's kind of like what Big T talks about at times. Like guy that won't be an optimizer play. I don't know, do you consider him similar to Poole? Because I think those guys are similar in a way. I think Poole's the better play, but because of the positionality, and if I'm playing for the blowout, which I think I kind of am playing for, I think Juan is really a strong play.
Yeah, I do think they're very similar plays, the different positions. I like Poole's game a little more for DFS, especially on DraftKings, the 3-point bonus. But you get savings on Juan, you get the positional down. I mean, the worst position you get exposure at. So I think it makes a lot of sense. I prefer Poole, but I mean, the points you made, I think Juan's way lower owned than he should be. And plugging him in your lineups too, you can always swap him out later. That's just another player you have with more positional flexibility if some news does break, and then you can land on a better play or something like that. So I think that's a sharp point. I really like this game. I really like this Warriors side today. I'll have multiple pieces and a lot of lineups.
Yeah, and Chris is asking why would Dre sit later in the game? Well, it depends. If you're playing for if you think it's going to blow out, right? Like the way you need to build your lineup sometimes, you have to build them as if you think the game is like, what's the script going to be, right? So if you think the game is going to be a 30-point blowout by the Warriors and guys are going to come off the court, then you got to, look to maybe get off of a guy like Draymond possibly. Or if you think that the game is going to be close, right? Like if you think it's going to be a close game, play Curry, play Draymond, and stack it up with all the Kings. And talking about some of these Kings title, because Buddy Hield is definitely a decent price tag where if he can get hot from downtown, which he can in this matchup, it makes sense. Harrison Barnes revenge, right? You got that as an option to go to. You got Mo Harkless, we talked about. Rashawn Holmes could get serious run possibly. We need to get that news on that. And I saw people earlier asking about DeLon Wright, and I talked about maybe Terrence Davis, if he gets a spot start, could be intriguing. So there's a lot of ways Luke Walton can go, and how do you want to handle it?
Did you just list like 6 guys and leave off the best play and my guy, or did I just?
Oh, Halliburton, of course. Yeah, I mean, I'm just naming guys that I think of. But Halliburton's like a stone lock, basically. He should become preloaded in every lineup, right? I mean, he's kind of like Westbrook a couple days ago, where you're just like, okay, plug him into your lineup. He's an auto lock, but I mean, I'm playing Halliburton probably on almost every team that I build, at least for sure on FanDuel. On DK, you can make some arguments, but again, he helps that annoying shooting guard position, and Halliburton is probably a lock.
Now you're talking there. That's what I like to hear. Yeah, Tyrese Halliburton's the best play on the slate. I mean, I think, just play him. I'm playing him in every lineup I make. Yeah, if you were game theory, you want to make a case, you can always make a case to fade someone. You never know what happens, but I'm not going to make that case. 6,200 DraftKings, 5,800 FanDuel. I'm playing him. Harrison Barnes, I like him on both sites. I don't like him on DraftKings. Sorry, 7,800. No, thank you. 6,400 on FanDuel, where you play 2 power forwards. He's going to play almost 40 minutes. I like 40 minutes. No De'Aaron Fox. He even gets more shots up. I like that price. Mo Harkless, 4,000 on FanDuel, 3,800 on DraftKings. He's my second favorite King on DraftKings. I mean, Mo Harkless has impressed me for his basketball skills at this level, or at this point of his career. He's shooting a lot more than I thought. He's rebounding. He's aggressive out there. 3,800. He has upside at this price. He played 25, 29, 34, 26 minutes the past 4 games. I like that a lot at 3,800. DeLon Wright, I think, is interesting at 4,900 on DraftKings too, but he is shooting guard eligible. I wouldn't play him at point guard. It's just a tournament only play for Wright. Rashawn Holmes is questionable. If he's out, I like Hassan Whiteside again. He's 5,400 on DraftKings, 5,000 on FanDuel. I think it's really sharp in tournaments to backload. Just play most pieces from this game, and then if Holmes plays, he's a fine play on both sides. He has upside in this matchup. If he's out, I love Whiteside for his price on both sides. We know what he can do. This game's very, very good. I have a lot of exposure, a lot of interest on both sides. Halliburton, the best play on the Kings. Barnes better on FanDuel. Harkless, I like on both sides. And then, yeah, maybe you do get a weird starting lineup with Terrence Davis, something like that, and you'll have room to positional eligibility. You'll have roster construction that you can add them in and mess around with it.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like I said, it's going to be a really fun slate. I'm excited for it. Excited to see how it all breaks down. Title, let's go on into the plays of the day. Title, give me your play. Who is your favorite guy on this slate in tournaments, right? Of course, we can give you the cash game takes. Check out the cash chart for that, right? We'll be putting all those guys in there, but give me a nice tournament take for us, and then I'll give mine, and then we'll get it out of here.
Yeah, it's tough. I'm not going to go with the guard since I think guard is so loaded. I'm going to go with a mid-tier guy who has dual position eligibility, power forward and center. Chuma Okeke, 5,300 on DraftKings. I like with this Magic news getting ruled out, Terrence Ross and James Ennis. That's more minutes to go around, more shots to go up. And we like point guard and shooting. We like point guard so much. You can go any way. Power forward isn't as great. You get a mid-tier guy that's not going to break the bank. And we've seen Chuma Okeke have 35-point upside. I like him at this price. I'm not sure. I don't think he's going to be popular, is he? I mean, Magic news broke before we got on the show. I doubt he's popping too much anywhere.
I just ran one quick optimal and he popped in it, but I don't know. It's okay. But the thing is, Title, I don't know how it's going to go. Sometimes you never have a good read on it. Like the other day, I like Cole Anthony, right? People are like, oh, he's going to be chalky. It's like, I don't know. He was like 30%. It's like, you never know how it's going to shake out. So it's hard.
Well, the thing is, one piece of news can shift something in the ownership. You get off the show and then just like you said, if he is, I just ran some. I don't think he's going to be too popular.
Fine, Title. We can make him your play. And I like what you said because it's exactly the reason why I'm giving this guy out. And I kind of talked about him just now, not too long ago. It's Toscano Anderson. And because I like that he's a 4K guy that I think can play in like this sloppy game that requires a lot of effort, right? He's one of those effort hustle guys where you can really play some big games in these kind of games. Like this is, if you had him against the Suns, you would not want to play him, right? But in these sloppier games, it fits him well. He's 4K. Play him at power forward or center. I like the call on your Okeke. I like the call on Mike Toscano Anderson. And I like that we're going cheaper at that position. That way we can get these studs in the guard spot that can break the slate and get us home. And that's my plan on this slate. And that should be yours as well. Guys, hit that like, hit that subscribe. We're going to get on out of here. Thanks a lot for joining us. For me, Mangone, and Titletown. See you guys later.
Good luck.